Unscripted.
Let it be said that I was quite clear when I said that the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller was the de facto controller. It wasn't anything to do with fanboyism. It wasn't anything to do with flip-flopping to Sony or anything like that. I had long had a stance that the Xbox controller was superior to the PlayStation controller pretty much every way, every generation. In particular, the Xbox 360 controller was miles ahead of the PlayStation 3 controller, and of course the Xbox Elite and even the standard Xbox One controller, I felt, were much better than the DualSense or the DualShock 4 controller. Although the DualShock 4 wasn't a terrible controller, it had like pretty lackluster battery life and things like that. So, you know, you really had to kind of keep that in mind when you were like playing games and stuff like that. For me, I only ended up getting 2 controllers the entire generation on the PlayStation 4 side, while I ended up with like over 10 on the Xbox side. But at that particular time, most of my third parties were being played on Xbox, and then you know, of course, I was playing the exclusives and stuff like that on PlayStation. But you know, it's just one of those things that kind of goes to show you that how fast things can change. And I mentioned this a long time ago too. I said, listen, these companies, Sony could have went bare bones and just basically put out a DualShock 5, and people would have been fine with it. But why be fine with something when you can exceed expectations for a change, right? And when you can go past people's expectations, when you actually act like you care. And Sony with the PlayStation 5 act like they care. They put in an intensive, cool design on the PlayStation 5. It's something different than they've ever done before. They totally rebuilt the controller from the ground up that is absolutely incredible to use on any game. Like any game that uses that to the fullest is going to be better on that console, simply because that controller is that much better, in my opinion. And you know, Xbox fanboys kind of went off and said that it wasn't true, and that, you know, that it wasn't true, and that Xbox has this, that Xbox was fine by not putting out you know, something different. They were fine with the with the lackluster, the bare minimum. It always reminds me of that that movie, what the heck is it? That one movie where they Office Space, yeah, where Jennifer Aniston's character works at sort of like a TGI Fridays, and she only does the bare minimum requirement of flair on her outfit, right? Look, that's what Microsoft kind of did, right? They gave us a brick, they gave us the same controller, the same UI, OS, all that kind of stuff, and largely the same experience. Now, you could do that, or you could go above and beyond that, and that's what Microsoft does. You know, Microsoft goes out of their way to kind of underwhelm, and Sony goes out of the way to sort of exceed the expectations. But I thought this was interesting because it proves me right once again, and I love being right completely. What's up, everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. I would appreciate that as well. It helps out the channel, and it means a lot to me personally. If you're looking for a way to help out a little crappy small channel like mine, the best way to do it, a simple like, it really does go a long way, and it's free for you and means everything to me. So thank you guys very much. With that being said, shout out to all the old subscribers, new subscribers, and everybody in between. Happy New Year. Hopefully this is the best one ever. Hopefully you guys are all having a great time gaming and all that kind of stuff like that. It's been a fantastic last year was amazing. I'm looking forward to building upon that and, you know, keeping you guys in the mix and stuff like that. It's been a really cool thing. So anyway, Microsoft is sending out surveys to Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S owners to see if they're interested in PlayStation 5 DualSense controller features. Think of that. Now, hold on. This is the thing that I want to say, first of all, right? When I bring up that Sony reinvented their controller and all this kind of stuff, I get a bunch of nonsense thrown at me, like, oh, well, what about, like, the people that can't afford this? And I'm like, listen, gaming has always been an expensive hobby. We've always had to get a new controller every single generation, right? Like, you've always had to do that. That's nothing new. So why is it all of a sudden looked at it like this terrible thing? That's what next generation has always been about, exceeding what the previous generation could do, bettering what the previous generation can do. And again, I don't have a problem with that. I think that people that really have a problem with that are, should maybe just kind of look in the mirror and realize what gaming has been and where it's come from. So both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X have their own advantages. I can't really think of any that the Series X has aside from more power on paper. But anyway, Sony's new DualSense controller being a big check on the Pro column. The DualSense features cutting-edge haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, and is arguably the first gamepad in quite some time to really enhance gameplay in a new way. Microsoft's Xbox Series XS is also solid, but it doesn't bring quite as much to the table. Well, it seems like Microsoft may be eyeing some of these new DualSense features jealously. Microsoft recently sent out a survey to new Xbox Series X and S owners asking them to rate their experience and state what they may want in the future. Interestingly, one question specifically asked whether the user is aware of the features of the PlayStation controllers, which of those features they'd like to see included in future Xbox controllers. And this is what it says. I'm aware of features on PlayStation controllers that I wish were on the controller that came with the console. And then you can agree, strongly disagree, etc., etc. Now, while the basic Xbox Series X and S controller is likely set for now, Microsoft is almost certain working on a third iteration of an Xbox Elite controller or some kind of refresh on the current controllers. Could we see features like haptics and adaptive triggers added to the gamepad? It wouldn't surprise anyone at this point. As a reminder, here's some of the unique features of the DualSense controllers that it brings to the table. Haptic feedback, where you feel physically responsive feedback to your in-game actions, and dual actuators, which replace traditional rumble motors in your hands. These dynamic vibrations can simulate the feeling of everything from environment to the recoil of different weapons. And the adaptive triggers themselves experience varying levels of force and tension as you interact with your in-game gear and environment, from pulling back an increasingly tight bowstring to hitting the brakes on a speeding car. Feel physically connected to your on-screen actions. A built-in microphone and headset jack as well. Chat with friends online using the built-in microphone or by connecting a headset jack, 3.5mm jack easily. Switch off voice capture at a moment's notice with a dedicated mute button. So again, this is something that I found to be very interesting, because a lot of people were sort of capping and saying that they were fine and they didn't really particularly care about, what it meant to be, does it matter whether it's Xbox or PlayStation or what have you? And as far as I could tell, I do feel like there is a huge difference there, and I feel like what Sony did was something that really came into play as a heavy hitter. They really went out there and kind of delivered exactly what people were asking for, and I feel like that's incredible. That's a really cool thing to sort of experience and see. On the Microsoft side, maybe it's cool that they're addressing this now, but holy crap, supposedly the Xbox Series X was something that was in development for 5 years. They didn't think to maybe add a new controller or a new something new in the interim. I just feel like that was probably a huge mistake on their part, and I really do hope that they go out there and they kind of fix things up and they kind of get things kind of going, because it's not good to just kind of have that stagnation, to me anyway. And I've mentioned this quite a few times. When I boot up the PlayStation 5, it's like a next generation type feeling right away. When you boot up the Xbox Series X, it's literally like my 1X. If somebody were to kind of blindfold me and have both the 1X and the Series X hooked up, and I didn't know which one, I would not be able to tell which one was hooked up. So, again, that just goes to show you that, maybe some people are kind of looking for something that really truly has that next generation application and next generation feel to it. And I do hope that they continue to sort of update that and get things back rolling on the same thing. But why? And something that I would always tell to a lot of the PlayStation fans is, keep being you. You like PlayStation for a reason, and a lot of people have a hard time with that. To the Xbox fans, it's like, why damage control for the $1 trillion company and millionaire people in that company that have failed to deliver what you really want, and don't be afraid to admit what you want. That's the main thing that I would kind of stress to any Xbox fans out there. If you trust me, and if you haven't tried the feedback on these things, it is incredible. It's a game changer, and it's not just the feedback, and it's something next generation. You can sit there and go, well, doesn't Xbox One already have those features? Not like this. This is like a next gen type thing, right? So completely different. and a completely different feel, and developers are really taking advantage of it, which I love. And you know, there's no sense in covering for Microsoft. It doesn't do any good. If you want something, ask them for it. They're a company that's working for you, believe it or not the other way around. So yeah, if you're unhappy with something that the company is doing, you're within your rights to complain. You're within your rights to really kind of go out there and you know, do what you want. You know what I mean? Ask what you want. As a consumer, I feel like that's something that we all kind of have to kind of deal with at one point or another. But again, Microsoft seems to not get it at the most critical point in time. I would love your thoughts and opinions on this. You can hit me up anywhere. All my links to that stuff is down below. I'll link this article. You can check it out yourself. Do you want those DualSense features on your Xbox controllers in the future? I sure as heck do. Let me know what you think. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. Rack 'em up. Game on, my friends. Game on. Crapgamer out.
Unscripted.